Today I'm in Washington Park. I've been here many times before. In fact, I come here almost every day. There's the LBCC campus. And here we have a building that I've wondered about for a long time. Seen it a lot. Right now we're seeing it from behind, we'll see it from front. And it looks like a house, but it also doesn't look occupied, and there's no fence or something, so I wondered, is this part of the community college campus? And today I was looking up something unrelated, and I saw the answer, and I was like, oh! I was looking up what is the oldest standing building in Corvallis, and this is it. This is the Charles Gaylord House, named after Charles Gaylord, early settler who had a door factory. Don't know if he's related at all to the Gaylord Container Corporation. And he had this house built, and apparently this house was built in 1857. So pretty good construction that it's still standing. And this is the oldest house in Corvallis that's standing. And the houses around it are not that old. Some of them look like they could be late 1800s, but most of them look 1930s, 1920s. I'm not an expert. And for whatever reason, it's not occupied. But one thing I wanted to say about this house, you know, why this is so relevant, let's walk around, walk up to it, is that this house was built in 1857, apparently, late 1850s. And I was just thinking, my grandmother first moved to the Willamette Valley in the late 1940s, 48, 49, when her father got a job as a coach at Willamette University. He was a football coach there. So that was 75 years ago. And if you look at this, this was built 90 years before then. So it's not exactly the halfway point, but it's pretty close. So this is the oldest building in Corvallis, and there are probably people still living in Corvallis who lived here before that halfway point. You know, there's still people here who remember what this city was like in the 30s. So this building's old by our standards, but in a lot of the parts of the world that would not be that old. And the materials still look to be in good place. Maybe some of it has been fixed up. But the reason I mentioned that is, you know, a lot of times I like to explore the history of this area, and I like to learn about the history of this area. But then there's also something we should be honest about, which is the history of this area is not very historic. Especially, we have to consider there were people living in this area for thousands of years before European settlement. First European settlers probably came here 1810s, 1820s, maybe before then. But there was people living for thousands of years. And sometimes I hear from people who are like, well, the area is changing, it's not like it was. And who kind of think like the real Corvallis was when they grew up. A lot of times that's the 50s, the 60s. And the truth is that was just a little window, and it's not guaranteed to anybody that what they remember, you know, the way it was for a couple of years, that it's going to be that way forever, or that changing it is somehow against its essence. Because that essence was just a flash of time and people building houses when they could, most of which are no longer here. So that's why I wanted to show that and to discuss that. And I'm not saying that in a harsh way. I could say that in a harsh way. I could say your memories don't mean anything, because people's memories do. But when people think their memories are the only guide to what a place is like and that they have some essential memory, and when that discounts that there was people for a long time before them and there will be a people hopefully for a long time after, it does kind of annoy me. So that is why I'm showing you this nice house. And if you want to, you can just ignore all that and kind of enjoy the architecture.